We're looking, our eyeballs are open and we're looking, but we're not all seeing the same things. There's a story here in Mark chapter 8. And I'm going to set the story up a little bit so we don't have to read all three parts of the story, because it's interesting how that people who have translated Bibles have decided where to put big numbers, little numbers, and little subtitles sometimes, because there's a whole lot of times that it's very obvious that the guys who put the subtitles in there did not see then what we see today, because many times they chopped up stories more than they really should have chopped the stories up. Jesus being very uniform, Matthew 25 is a case in point. Jesus really stayed on the same page with himself, trying to redundantly make a point, and we separate it and turn it into different stories. Mark 8 is much like that. It starts with Jesus and his disciples being in a town where they've been preaching evidently for several days. This is the second time that something like this has happened, where there's great crowds and they've been so tuned into what Jesus has been saying that they wouldn't even leave to eat. And so Jesus is done ministering to them, time to move on, but he's very concerned once again that the people are hungry. The disciples, once again, though they've been through this once, still are not all that concerned about other people. They obviously don't see what Jesus sees when he looks at people. The disciples look at the same people Jesus are looking at. Jesus says, oh, I'm very concerned with them. Some of them are so hungry, they're going to faint before they even get back to their homes. The disciples are looking at the exact same people, but they're not being moved in the same way. They're not seeing what Jesus sees. And that's where the whole story begins, because the whole story is, if we look at the surface of the story, all the miracles are at the surface about miracles. But it's only at the surface that the miracles of the Gospels are about the miracles. There's always a deeper truth. Jesus said concerning the things that he did and said, I've hidden these things from the learned. They have to be revealed by my Spirit. So it doesn't take anybody with any spirituality to read the Bible, read the stories of the miracles, and see what's going on the surface. Oh, there was a blind man. Jesus touched him. He's all better now. Wow, that didn't take a lot of maturity to see that, did it? But there's always a story behind the story as you look deeper spiritually into the stories. And so on the very surface, it's a story of Jesus taking 7 loaves of bread, breaking them up, giving them to the disciples to disperse among 4,000 men and however many other people there were there, having 7 baskets of bread left over. On the surface, it's just the story of a miracle. But the story is much deeper than that. The Spirit of God is trying to show us something here, that Jesus and us can look at the exact same scene, the same group of people, and see 2 totally different things. And so they feed the 4,000. Right at the very end of it, they leave and they begin their journey, and they're instantly somehow met by a cluster of Pharisees, a bunch of religious folks. And this Jesus has just taken 7 loaves of bread and fed 4,000 plus people. How many of you guys would say that's a pretty good sign that this guy isn't normal? And what do the Pharisees have the audacity to say as soon as they see Jesus right after this miracle? They say, Jesus, could you please show us a sign? All right, something better than feeding 4,000 plus with 7 loaves of bread. These are little loaves, by the way. What can I do to top that? Show us a sign. Show us a sign. You have to understand that when people in the Bible say, show us a sign, they're speaking intentionally, very superficially. Show me something on the exterior here that I can clearly see. I don't have to use brain cells, and it takes no spiritual bones to understand and ascertain what's going on here. Show me something topically so I can get it. Show me a sign. And that's why Jesus said once, it's an evil generation that demands to see a sign. Well, Jesus was always giving signs. The Bible is clear about that. It didn't appear to be evil to give signs. In fact, signs and wonders will follow those who believe. It doesn't appear to be an evil thing. What Jesus was saying was for those who demand to see something topical before they can be convinced, that's an evil generation. Jesus at this point is not happy with these Pharisees and what their heart represents. And that's where we're going to pick the story up here in Mark chapter 8. The disciples had forgotten to bring bread, because what had happened, they got back in the boat, crossed back over. The disciples had forgotten to bring bread, except for 1 loaf they had with them in the boat. Be careful, Jesus warned them. Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and that of Herod. They discussed this with one another and said, it is because we have no bread. I talk like they think. Aware of their discussion, Jesus asked them, why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not see or understand? Do you still not see? Do you still not see or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes but fail to see? And ears but fail to hear? And don't you remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many basketfuls of pieces did you pick up? 12, they replied. And when I broke the 7 loaves, a few minutes ago for the 4,000, how many basketfuls of pieces did you pick up? They answered, 7? There should be a question mark after 7, I believe. 7? He said to them, do you still not understand? Now take a break right there for a second. Do you still not get it? Do you still not see? They're getting in the boat. There's just been this incredible object lesson again. Jesus tried this on them earlier. When they were feeding 5,000, the disciples were, we see the people. We see they're hungry. Let's get out of here. And Jesus is like, no, can't you see? Can't you see what I'm seeing here? And so Jesus runs the whole object lesson with them, and he breaks 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and he gives it to the disciples, saying, now you go feed the people, and they feed, and when he's done, there's 12 basketfuls of bread left over, 1 for each disciple, and Jesus is trying to show them something. He wants them to see the people, see their needs, see beyond the surface. Don't just see topical, see beyond the surface. And now see yourself meeting that need. See yourself connecting with those people. See yourself putting your hands on those people. See yourself serving those people that you just saw with that need. See what I see. And you will see that if you will see people the way that I see people, and you will meet their needs the way that I meet their needs, you will then see that you will have more than you could ever ask for or imagine. There'll be leftovers.